What's up everybody, Jake from P3 here with you. In today's video, we're going to go over our V3 gauge install on the Audi 8Y, A3, S3, and RS3. First things first, we're going to go over what you'll receive when you buy an Audi 8Y gauge. First thing we're going to look at is our quick start guide. So this is going to contain a few things. We've got our checklist on the front showing you what you did or did not receive. You've also got QR codes on every page that you can scan that will take you to the specific area of our website for the install guide for this vehicle. We've of course got our display, which is going to clip right here. Then we've got our control box, and then we've got our harness assembly, which is going to be both the main harness and the OBD2 harness. Those will disconnect right here in case you need to service those separately, or if you want to add a hardwire kit and not plug into the OBD2 port, you can go ahead and just disconnect this half, do the hardwire kit, good to go. And last but not least, the coveted P3 sticker comes with every gauge. I also want to highly recommend one of our trim kits on this install. It's kind of hard to get this vent off without a trim tool, and we do offer a nice trim kit on the accessories page. I'll also link it down below the video. If you get that, it works for tons of different things on interior work or even in your house. But for this install specifically, it's going to be super handy. Now, we didn't have access to a local 8Y. The only guy we got in contact with had an RS3. He said we could use this car as long as we didn't touch it, and we told him that's technically impossible. So next best thing, bought a used dash out of a wrecked 8Y, and then we got our necessary trim pieces to finish out this install, and that's how we're going to show you this today. First step you always want to do when installing a gauge, go ahead and connect everything together. So we're going to plug our display into our control box, and then we're going to plug the control box into the harness. Now we've got our small OBD2 port underneath the dash here. So we're going to plug that in. You'll see some dots on the screen, and I've got this protective film on here. This is going to read codes from our fake car that are stored on there. If you see codes, it's communicating correctly with the ECU. But you want to just go ahead and make sure you've got some data. If you don't see codes on your brand new 8Y, go ahead and push the right button a couple times, cycle through a few readings. Make sure you've got good data. If you do, you're good to go. Now you're going to want to take out a trim tool that looks about like this. And we're going to start right here. We have the cluster out of this, so I can easily just reach around the back of this side. You won't be able to do that. So what you're going to need to do is put a little downward pressure on here to create a small gap. Go ahead and get up in here, Peter. And then we're going to hook the trim tool underneath. And with the soft touch, it makes it real nice. And these trim tools don't scratch or mar. So then just a little bit of outward pressure like that pops it loose. And then we can take our vent right out. Also, most of you familiar with our products know that we mostly install in the vents. We try to whenever we can. These ones don't give you a lot of real estate, and you lose that nice chrome trim. And we have this nice giant blank spot in this piano black panel here. So we've come up with a display that actually just clips on top of that piano black trim. We've got a nice foam block here to keep it from scratching in the back. And we're going to take this cable and drop it down. And we're going to drop it down right between the plenum and the trim. Go ahead and feed it down through your dash. And your OBD2 port should be somewhere right down around here. The cable's going to drop down, and then we can now clip this right to the top of the trim. Should have a nice clip just like that. And we just want to make sure that this cable is nice and tucked over in this corner and nice and flat as well, so that when the vent reseats into there, it'll fit nice and snug. Now you'll want to go ahead and take your vent and just gently push it back into place. It's got these nice meaty spring tabs that also have a good ramp in both directions. I don't know if you can really see that. Old clips would be very severely ramped, and then when you pull them out, they'd break off. These ones have been in and out like probably 20 times already. They're working great still, so we're gonna go ahead and line everything up there. And when you're pushing this back in, make sure the bottom of your vent makes it above the display, like that, and then it should just snap right back into place, just like that. So at this point, you're going to have some trim around the side of your dash and down below here, and then your OBD2 port will be somewhere in this area. Go ahead and plug into it with your main harness, and then you'll be able to tuck your control box just inside the trim here. Go ahead and plug your display into the control box. The gauge will come on once you start your engine. Once that's happened, you can tap the right button here to cycle through a few different readouts. Make sure you've got good data on your screen, and if you do, you can do the ever so satisfying film peel. Or maybe you don't want to peel it. I kind of like to leave those on just to bother people. But that's going to wrap up this install. If you've got any questions on Audi 8Y or any of our other models, drop a comment below. Check out the product listings below in the description. We'll link this gauge along with that trim kit I mentioned. going to be really helpful with this install. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop a comment. As always, we appreciate you guys watching this video. P3 is a small company. Currently, we're just 3 guys. We hand build all these gauges to order for you. So if you tell your friends about P3, it really helps us out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.